All right, I am here with another Destiny video, and today I wanted to get a little bit more detail into the loot here. As much detail as we can get after, I guess, 48 hours, but there is a fair amount of it's already up for grabs. Things you can start to target farm with the hammer, but the hammer is kind of hard locked for farming certain roles because you have to wait for the seasonal challenges to keep progressing, and that's how we're going to rank it up over time. But for now, you're probably just getting some random Battlegrounds loot, and if you're getting very lucky, you have gotten a couple of the Strike, Crucible, and Gambit specific drops. You can farm one of the Nightfall weapons, and that will be on a rotation. As time goes on, they're going to rotate through the three. You can play around with the new exotic, and yeah, that's kind of enough to get us started. I'm really liking the loot so far and kind of the loot chase. There's I think a lot of good stuff here that I'm enjoying, and it's even almost making me forget about my sunset weapons. As much as I bemoan the loss of all the Season of Dawn stuff, the Battlegrounds weapons have been pretty solid. Part of this is because they've also introduced a couple new perks that make things really interesting, and I'll go through that too. The Code Duello rockets, if we're trying to gauge how rockets perform now, that's the Battlegrounds rocket. I got one of those with a should have looked up the perk again, but time payload, which has a delayed explosion on the rocket once you stick it to an enemy. That's a lot of fun. It does very big damage, and I'm just looking for kind of a better pairing for that than Quick Draw. Is there's another perk that dramatically increases velocity, which I think could be pretty cool, and that's good for that one because that rocket does not have inborn tracking. My highlight rocket, though, this season is the new strike-specific one that can drop at the end of strikes. Also, quick note, if you're farming for any of the weapons, make sure you put your ghost on for the bonus loot for whatever playlist you're in. Like, I definitely forgot that existed, and I have just had the strike one on this whole time. And I think that might be the reason I have like 4 strike-specific drops, and I have none from the other playlists because I just forgot about it. So make sure to do that. But this rocket, there's a rocket and a pulse. The pulse is just like another adaptive. I don't know. I got one, but it was bad, so I can't tell if it's got a good perk combo yet. The Royal Entry, the rocket, is really good. I got one that has Clown Cartridge and the whatever alloy casing for fast reloading, and that rocket type has inborn precision tracking. So it's essentially every time you reload, it's 2 rockets that track, and it's fast reload on alloy casing, and you put boss pick on it. And I'm, two-shotting the servitor boss in the 1300 lost sector, even underpowered. It's does very significant damage. I love it a lot, and it's pretty fantastic. I don't know what the actual best rocket is in the game right now. I think people are still kind of trying to work that out. We did hear that Eyes of Tomorrow is nerfed, and that is an accident, apparently, according to Bungie. So everyone was kind of complaining about that for a while, but it's actually not that big of a deal. We don't know when it'll be fixed, of course, but it's not something they did to combat anything necessarily. I've heard that Two-Tailed Fox is actually really good. It got something like a 37% buff. I have not really heard anything about any of the other rockets yet in terms of like what might be the exotic play. Guess I'll look into that more, but for now I'm just using my legendaries, and I'm having trouble taking off an energy exotic, which I'll go into soon. But I really like the Extraordinary Rendition, the Battlegrounds SMG. It's a new kinetic SMG, one of only 4 kinetic weapons in this entire release. The other 2 are Iron Banner, and then there's one Trials, the Messenger. It's really good, and this is where we start to see kind of the new perks that are awesome. There's one called just Frenzy, which increases your damage and reload speed and handling when you're in combat for a prolonged period of time, but it activates right away. And like, obviously, if you're shooting your gun, you're probably in combat. And that just seems like a really good all-around perk, both for this and for the sidearm. I still don't have my perfect roll. I have a Subsistence Frenzy, but Subsistence is very bad on machine guns. It doesn't give you enough bullets, and it makes your reserves like nothing. That needs a buff for SMGs, even if it's pretty good on ARs still. I am also still looking for a good Frenzy Brass Tacks, but I think I got a 1 for all. And T-Rex kind of turned me on to 1 for all, where it's if you shoot 3 enemies, it like activates in one clip. It activates a little timer that will give you a damage boost for that section. So this is also an aggressive sidearm, so it's kind of a breachlight replacement, although it's energy. and it's like a little baby looking thing, but it does a lot of damage, and I'm really liking it. I've been using mostly SMGs and sidearms because I'm trying to level up that hammer perk where you need, or the hammer engram where you need like 2,500 close range SMG and sidearm kills. So I've been working on that for quite a while. I did manage to get a shadow price from one of my heroic ordeals, which are the lower level ones. That's all I've been doing so far, just because the matchmaking, I don't really know what the fuss is about. It's not really a great RPM type right now. I got a 4th time Thresh, which is actually a pretty good roll. It's just, I just feel like there's better feeling SMGs out there. Maybe once there's the adept version of this, it'll be like the thing to get. But for now, I don't really, I'm not really seeing what the attraction is there. I know everyone is going to be going for Palindrome because that just people just looking at the base stats of that and the perks. I think that's going to be a really, really solid PvP weapon. The Swarm, I mean, how much can you really do with machine guns? And I mean, we already have the DSC machine guns commemoration, so I don't really know if that'll be some hugely sought after thing or not, or if there's some crazy perk combo that has that'll be like really, really worth going after, but we'll see. Probably the most fun exotic I've been messing around with so far has been Ticu's. I wrote a list and I literally wrote Ticu's Wrath because I cannot stop saying Ticu's Wrath. Ticu's Divination, which is the season pass bow. Season pass weapons are usually kind of hit or miss. Like Duality was like whatever. It just, I don't know. It's usually not anything like to write home about, but I really, really like Ticu's Divination. It has the auto aim where it attaches like fiery missiles to 3 enemies, and then you shoot them to ignite it and blow it up with a fire arrow. I've been using this for tons of stuff, like mainly because I'm working on the catalyst, but also just because it's very good and very fun. And you can use it in PvP and blow up groups of people with it if you do it right. Everyone's using it in PvP right now, so it's kind of a madhouse. And I am at the 4 times catalyst progression now, but I still have like 100 something more activities to run before I can get the catalyst. I've not actually looked up what the catalyst does, but it's already very good. Also this season, bows have overload, and that has come up in a few different ways in a very cool, because the last time bows had overload, you couldn't use exotic bows. They only have recently done the armor mods thing where you can now use exotic weapons as anti-champion. So a lot of stuff is really good now. Ticu's Divination, you can just use the auto aim aimbot shot to instantly stun anyone. Like I've been doing it with Fallen Captains for the Nightfall and stuff. It's pretty much just like a stun button. And then in the Lost Sector, I was farming the chest pieces before reset here. And, well, past reset now. But I was using Le Monarch, and that, I think one poison shot of Le Monarch can overload an enemy twice because of how long the poison ticks. Which is crazy. So you can, like, I was literally just killing captains just with the void damage boost, just plugging in with like 12 arrows, and that was it. And so that's been really cool to see. Speaking of other exotics that have really seen a new light of day, I mentioned this in my other video, but Skyburner's Oath and Battlegrounds is just absolutely wild. It has so much utility, like I don't even know where to start. This season it's anti-barrier, so you can shoot the Colossi that spawn that have the barrier shields. A lot of people haven't even used it since they kind of changed how it works and how it has these like seeking explosive shots now, which are very good. It also now, well, the catalyst drops from like any strike, so now it has extra range and it spawns orbs if you do that. It does like 20-25% extra damage to Cabal. Even without anti-barrier, it can shoot through Cabal shields, and that includes its explosive rounds. And those explosive rounds can spawn Warmind cells through the solar mod for that. Not that often, but it can do that. And it's just a tremendous amount of utility in one gun. And, using your energy slot for a primary is not always the best, but in Battlegrounds, it's like 95% mob clear and then like 5% boss damage. So and there's so many enemies in that. Like the room in the Europa boss fight where you're fighting like a trillion dudes at once, like you can just rain down these explosive seeking rounds and just blow up clusters of enemies with a primary. It's pretty crazy. So I've very much enjoyed using that. There are some weapons that I haven't gotten yet. I know that Gambit exclusive hand cannon, bottom dollar, is already becoming really popular. People It's a 120 and people are trying to go for rolls for that. All of these playlist weapons have like a ton of perks. So farming your exact perk combo is like crazy hard and their drop rate is very low. So it's kind of meant to be a much, much longer term pursuit. And then I've heard the Frozen Orbit Sniper is really good. That's a PvP one. And I don't remember what the other ones are. I think Gambit might have a fusion, and then there might be another energy sidearm for Crucible, and I've not gotten those yet either. So I gotta again change up my Ghost mod because I have not been doing that correctly. We already talked about the strike weapons that are coming up. The Time Worn Spire is coming back. I believe that's a rapid fire pulse, so that would be the first rapid fire pulse we get in a long time. Should probably look that up. We know that there is the Tex Mechanica exotic coming. It's kind of an open secret at this point. It's not first curse. If you really don't want to hear what it is, like I don't know the exotic perks or anything, like you don't have to listen, but it's an exotic lever action repeater scout called Dead Man's Tale. There's some sort of exotic quest tied to it. I know a little bit about the quest. I won't go into that now, but that's going to be coming in the future. I'm just glad it's not first curse again because another exotic hand cannon just stop. No, that's too many. So I'm glad this is something new. We'll talk about all that once it gets closer. And then I forgot to write down the names of the new 3 chest plates that I've been farming for, but I have gotten 2 of them. I got the Hunter one, which I'll throw up on screen, and then you can see the name of it because I don't remember it. This one lets you have multiple smoke bombs, and if you smoke yourself or if you smoke an ally, you get, I think if you smoke an ally, you get melee energy back, and you get damage reduction while invisible. I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, I've seen some crazy videos of like people just like rapid smoking each other for like kind of infinite invisibility because you pretty much instantly get it back if you smoke a teammate. Being invisible is already kind of like a big defensive move, so I don't know how much like damage reduction while invisible is that useful, like unless you're standing in a pool of fire or something. So that strikes me as slightly odd. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what to do with those. I'm very excited about the Titan chest with all the tassels on it that you can see here. There's even more tassels in the back. I don't have that shot, but it's full of tassels. And this is finally giving some love to my beloved Thunder Crash. And so instead of Bungie just buffing it again, they already buffed it in the past. I think they buffed it by like 30% damage or something. This exotic, I think, just flat doubles the damage of Thunder Crash. And it's pretty crazy. Like, I don't have exact values and stuff yet, but just running, like, for instance, like running the Battlegrounds, I am able to, if there's an unstoppable incinerator, those are, you know how tanky those are, I can pretty much get it to, I can just almost one-shot it. I can get it to like finisher range with a single Thunder Crash without it being stunned and without it taking more damage. The final boss, I can do most of one of those health segment bars of the final boss with a Thunder Crash. So if you have high intellect, if you have, spawning orbs and are running Thresh or something and are filling that up all the time, that's going to be really good for clearing out anything. Like any mini boss is going to pretty much instantly die to it. A lot of champions will, I think, besides the unstoppable beefy dudes. And then it does significant. It's like almost, I don't know, it's not exactly this, but like it could be like, golden gun for Titan, except you're using your face as the bullet. Does that make sense? Sure. It does for Titans. But that's a lot of fun. I've been using Thunder Crash for a long time just because I think it's a really fun subclass and I really enjoy it. I know it hasn't been like good, but I'm very excited to see the exotic. I do not know what the Warlock exotic is yet, and I have not looked it up yet. I kind of like being a little surprised for stuff like that, but my Warlock is not high enough yet because it was my first character that I started on. It's only like 1270 something, so I'm not going to run the Lost Sector until I get it up a little higher, and it just changed over anyway, so I kind of ran out of time for that. There's more loot to come. There's Iron Banner stuff. There's new Trials loot that a lot of us won't get. There's new, the other 2 Nightfall stuffers, Nightfall weapons are coming, and then we can start target farming more of the seasonal loot. And there's also like kind of random stuff too that just pops up. Like I know everyone's excited that Eternal Blazon's back, the lightweight scout. That is a good RPM. I don't know what the RPM is. That's good. 200 maybe. But people are looking for that, even though I don't think you can technically target farm it. So yeah, I have enjoyed the loot this time around so far. There's a lot more to work with than we've seen previously, and the pursuits for these, whether it's Nightfall deals or the playlist weapons, trying to get those to drop, is something that I'm finding pretty engaging. And then you add in the hammer stuff for target farming. This seems like a good kind of mix of things to chase and new perks that are interesting and make things good without necessarily being power creep. So I think they've done a really good job here. So I am probably going to go do some more Battlegrounds because it's like 9 Battlegrounds a character or something to get all the upgrades from that. It might even be 12. I'm not sure if there's a stage after 9, but I'm just on the power grinds. It seems like we're going to be able to hit max, non-pinnacle max after, 2 weeks, unless you're Grenader Jake, like who has already passed 1300. And yeah, then it's, start farming the higher end stuff that, actually can be pretty rewarding now with the depth things and things like that. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Again, it's 48 hours in, so we're still in the honeymoon phase, but yeah, we'll see. Evie, you gonna come for a cameo? Come here. Come here. No, you want to stare out the window? Okay. Will this get her if I tilt it? There she is. There's Evie. She didn't want to say hi. She's too busy observing the neighborhood. But all right, try to get her closer up next time. But thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna go play some more, and I will see you next time.